Hello, welcome to today's HR Huddle. It's good to see you. I'm Tamera, and with me is Jen. Hey, Jen.
Hi there.
We are here to talk about our next talent or HR topic as we, continue well into March, our last week of March here, and looking down the barrel of the end of the busy season. I know April 18th is a big deadline on tax, and end of April, and miscellaneous deadlines for audit. But I know that's a big one, plus just all the other peak periods that we have going on right now. And we've been being asked about. From talent people, and I was asked from some leaders, at some conferences I was at last week, what do we think is going to happen here, with staffing after busy season? And I had to pause and say, I think we could, see another big quit if we're not careful. And I know some firms are doing things to, tether people to them. And we just wanted to maybe spend a couple minutes and say, what from an HR perspective, what can you be encouraging your leaders to do? What could you do to have people, feel good as they're crossing the finish line? And as we look into, end of April, 1st of May, what should we be planning for? And so just trying to anticipate that, not just business as usual as we run towards these, deadlines that we all have. So we thought we would start and, just, talk about, making sure we're paying attention to that somebody's paying attention to that and we're communicating out, with it. So one of the places we always start is gratitude and making sure that we are sending grateful messages to our team members, probably both broad communications as a team or as a firm. It's like, we know we're at the, 21st mile on the, 26-mile marathon, which you could bump into a really big wall, they say, at that point. And just say, we're just really grateful for what we've done so far and for rolling up our sleeves and, carrying the torch through those, next, few miles that we have, but also individual, gratitude that, we're saying thank you, for supporting a client, or thank you for digging in with me on this client, or thank you for the, being available and the communications. And those sound like little things, like, maybe expected things, but I think it goes a long way just to be acknowledged, to be seen, to be heard, to be acknowledged and appreciated. And that can go a long way. I know I, appreciate it. We try to pay attention to it, during our busy, peak periods, is to, maybe increase our gratitude and, be intentional about it. And some people, are good at it. Some people not so much, but it is something that could kind of fall to the wayside, as we are super busy. And so we wanted to raise that.
So, as somebody who wants to be grateful and tries to practice gratitude, like inside my own self, I am so grateful for what, every day, 2 or 3 things. It's a way of shifting your anxiety. It's a way of really boosting generosity to be more grateful, for sure. It still doesn't come naturally to me. I'm faster to point out problems. I'm quicker to see things that haven't been done yet or that I haven't done. I'm faster to beat myself up for what I haven't gotten done. So when we talk about it, it might be easy for all of us to go like, oh yes, gratitude, of course. But the reason that we keep talking about it is because it's kind of special. Nobody really does it that well. And so all that Tamera said, hallelujah, please show more gratitude, but also maybe let's think about gathering our leaders, and even if it was for a 10-minute huddle of the partners or senior leaders in the business, and say, hey, we're in the home stretch, but this is where it can get a little dicey, or might already have gotten dicey. And so here are some pointers for who you need to be, senior leaders, for the rest of this spring busy season to make it so we don't have a big quit in May. And remind them, not just of this gratitude idea, but let's make a list.
Yeah, that's good.
This fall, and then you think about having a senior leadership centering conversation that says, hey, and if they won't come together for a huddle on video for 10 minutes or whatever, we get it. At least maybe an email that you could write that says, hey, want subject line, want to keep your people past May 1st, ? And then say, here are some tips and strategies of things you could do now or avoid doing. We might have a list of do's and a list of please don'ts as well. And so the gratitude practice is a do for sure. And looking for ways to say thank you. You can still point out things that need to be done or aren't done yet, but just recognize and every message should have some expression and acknowledgement of gratitude. And then second, I would say, is the idea that we really look hard at checking in with people and communicating with people. This is a time when we all tend to go in our burrows or something, heads down. We jump into our own burrows and dig instead of us like lifting our eyes up and looking out to the others and saying, hey, how are you right now? And what can I do to help? Now, I know it's all hands on deck. And so your hands are full saying, what can I do to help when you feel like you're drowning? Might be scary. But I tell my people all the time at Convergence that I work with, if you're not winning, I'm not winning. The stuff you're working on is my stuff. If you're drowning over there, I'm drowning because you're drowning. So even though I might feel super busy, I need to know, how are they doing and what's working and not working, and is there anything I could do that would provide any relief or anything that I could do that could speed the system. And they might have simple requests. You might be surprised. They might need you to make a request of another leader that they can't get to listen to them, or they're afraid to ask. And for you, it might be an easy ask. And so you don't know what they're going to say, but checking in with our people. Now, we're talking to HR leaders and talent leaders in this conversation. And so you might not have that many of your own direct reports to check in with. You might have some other key leaders, people that you know are on the path to partner, people that you know are linchpins for a department that, man, our whole succession strategy relies on these people. You could check in with those people. Also get in that centering conversation with your senior leaders, or that email that you say, hey, please do these things. Do check in with our key players, our highest potential, highest performing people at first. And you might say, well, wait a minute, we don't really need to check in with them. They're so low maintenance. That's exactly
Right.
the mistake we see firms make. And those people are the ones that quit, and they say, you know what, it wasn't worth it. I feel like I'm a workhorse and I'm really, I'm counted on for a lot, but I'm not that related to this place. I'm not that tethered. I don't think they care about me that much. I have no idea what my pathway is or how long it's going to take. Nobody ever talks to me about my career or its progression. And all these outside firms are offering me all this promotion and money, and they seem like they care about me a lot more.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
such a mistake, right?
And those would be the ones we would be sad if they, left. And it's because we're not paying attention to them because they are easy. So we do want to reach out to them and, figure that out. So I think, Jen, also tied to that is we want to pay attention to the tone of our messages. And it can range, when I say that, like there's probably a sub list underneath that. But there's a range of, places to look for tone, and just be careful that we're not just like barking out orders in email or verbally. And that we're saying please and thank you, and some of our manners go out the door. How does this fit? Does this work? Like just checking in. That's part of that check-in is, how is this, fitting in for you? I know we've got client commitments to make, but also we want to have some of that compassion, for our people. We also have to be careful of maybe some old school messages that we shouldn't be saying any longer. When somebody asks, how are we going to get all this work done? And my response is, we've always got it and done it before. We'll figure it out. And they're like, completely stressing and freaking out, going, I don't know what that looks like, 24/7 for the next 2 weeks, or, what does that look like? Or, we make comments about, a client comes in with, and they're not following the rules for having their appointment scheduled or their stuff to us. And we're like, we can just make this, exception this one time for this client. We need to do that. And, how many partners are doing that, and then how that builds up onto our clients. I mean, there's a list we could generate, but just be careful of maybe some of that, messaging that our young talent is going to go, I don't need to be here to do this. If we're not going to follow the rules and parameters we have in place, or if we're not going to plan and anticipate and then manage our workload and our clients, they will go find someplace that does, or start up their own practice and manage it themselves, which, we see sometimes too. So I know there's other, ways to manage tone, but those are some, that I think we really need to point out to people to pay attention to in the messaging.
Well, and one of the things I agree 100%. And I think one of the things you and I have talked about in the past is, the idea of maybe our talent managers, our HR folks can reach in and check the temperature of the partners whose temperature tends to get hottest at this time of the year, and check in with them as if you were trying to figure out how you could help them or relieve them. They may have some complaints, and you may be like, you don't know what you're asking me to listen to, but I think that if they could use you as a venting place and you could identify if there were things, mitigating conversations you could have that could help relieve some of what they're upset about, or help kind of talk them off the ledge, if you will, get them to, stop and take a breath and get grateful, and help them have a recentering so that they're not just continuing to operate in this I'm a victim of a bunch of people that don't care like I do mentality that can really be off-putting to the staff.
Right.
And so you might be able to help reset some of these messages. And if you can't, you could at least identify the danger zones that we have and get the managing partner or a senior leader to intervene with those partners. And you may already know where these hotspots are because you're getting staff already coming to you, coming or complaining to you about them. So you may already be like, gosh, we have several of those. Well, let's get the managing partner involved. And it's not just like a feather smoothing we're trying to do here. I mean, that is part of like recentering on gratitude and remembering that these people are super important to us, and they haven't all had the benefit of awesome scheduling and awesome training and tons of feedback. Probably they're a little bit thrown to the wolves, and they're doing their best, and try to appreciate that. So resetting the way they're thinking, but also, the managing partner may have to come in and just say, look, we're going to take some work from you. Right. You're out of control over here, and you're doing too much yourself, and you're expecting too much of these people, and it's going to blow you all up. And so we're going to, intervene in a way that might be sort of emergency measures, right? Something you might not have the authority to do, but that might make sense.
Well, and I think tied to that is looking at, and you might have people that already do this, or maybe you're doing this, is looking at people's hours report. And I know we want to move away from hours, but we're still measuring hours. You could also watch, when people are working, even if they're not in the office. I can see people on Teams or whatever. But, if they're 70, 75, 80 hours, which we still have some people doing that.
Or even 60, 65 today is a lot.
It's a lot.
Especially for our young people. Way too many.
We cannot, maybe we do a week of that, maybe 2 weeks of that, but we cannot have that be, we're anticipating that to keep going on, and we need to check in with them and say, hey, what work can we take? What can we push? What can we reset expectations? Where else could we maybe find support? I know we've already said the yeses, but we might need to maybe renegotiate something. And so looking at that, both at the partner level, because partly they're setting the example, but also it's not healthy. And we've all heard, and I know Jen and I have heard, people that have had, severe either heart attacks or seizures or medical issues that happen during busy season because of this, not to mention anxiety, panic attacks, all of those things. So we got to look out both for how can we help them manage the capacity, and somebody needs to be monitoring that and talking to them about it. And then second, the health side, and making sure we're, looking and saying, when are you sleeping? When, and I know that's like, it almost is coming out of my mouth. It's like, we shouldn't have to do that, but we do. And we want our people to be healthy. We want them to be, strong. We want them to continue. And so we have to pay attention to that and, monitor it both from the partner level, but also the staff level, and those staff level that is doing those kinds of hours and like really just putting their head down and working, we consider our superstars, and then we're going to burn them out. And so, it's all sketchy.
This hours thing. I mean, I'm going to tell you that Gen Z and the younger millennials, if they're working 55 hours, they think that they are like way overbooked. So, and I'm not going to disagree with them. That's how, what they feel. So if that's what they feel and their families feel, they're going to find a different job if they think that our business model requires it.
Right.
Tamara, while you were talking, though, I had a terrible flash. Terrible flash.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's that like I don't want to be you when I grow up, right?
Right.
Not I don't want to be Tamara because I do want to be Tamara when I grow up, but I I mean that the staff, we have to pay attention again. Part of my centering of the senior partners or the senior leaders might be, hey, what vibe are you giving off over there? Like, what are you projecting? Because if you're projecting like sickly, stressed, unhappy, angry,
Unhealthy.
and not getting joy from the work, not liking clients because you complain about them, who is attracted to that? How could we keep anybody working at that place? They're going to look at that and be like, oh, that's yuck. I do not want to be that when I grow up. So why would I stay here? And I just don't think, it's this whole leadership idea of I have to pay attention to who I'm being as much as I have to pay attention to what I'm doing. And if who I'm being is victimized, angry, and unhappy, I am not attracting anything. I'm repelling everything. There's no Velcro attracting my people and sticking them to me. Everybody's turning their head and trying to get away from that because who wants to do that? And I am worried that inside many firms, there are people that are being allowed to wake up every day and be that. It's like their shtick or something. It's who they are. And we all just sort of are like, well, that's how it is. But those people are not part of our retention strategy. So if you want to have a lot of that, you have an anti-retention strategy, ladies and gentlemen. And we need to make the leaders responsible for that. They'll look at you, HR, and be like, we didn't keep any of those people, all those new hires, and they're going to be like that. Somehow that was you. And you need to make sure they need to make it. And I don't mean fake it, but there's a big difference between being a super unhappy, unhealthy grouch and, being an unstoppable, committed leader, serving clients and balancing personal priorities. There's a difference. There's a lot of room in between that. And let's move our leaders away from that kind of unattractive, unretainable look. Because we see it when we go into firms and we point it out and we try to help manage it. Guess what, HR leaders? You have to do that too.
Right. Exactly. I think I'd also in that centering message say, find some ways to have fun, look forward to some future together, maybe a combination of that. Like, how can we still have fun these next few weeks? And I don't know if that looks different for everybody, but, I find some ways to have a little bit of laughter or, share a, fun joke or share pictures, of, I don't know, your pets. I don't know what it is, flowers, it's springtime. I don't know what that is, but then also find ways to be painting the picture of what's next. What do we have to look forward to, both individually and together as a group? And if you have if you have an end of season party or you close for a day, and that maybe that floats depending on what department you're in, or we have a team event coming up in May or sometime this summer, or we have some learning programs coming up. I know we talk about that with our, senior learning program, is like give people something to look forward to and be messaging. And I know we're trying to be really quiet during this time because everybody's so focused. But if we could keep that in front of people to look forward to, I think that will help also, and say, this is temporary. This is what's coming. And then let's have some fun and laugh along the way.
I love that, Tamara. This is so simple because it's sort of like, what should I do to keep my people? Well, care about them, be interested in them, don't gross them out, give them hope, And hope isn't just like hope for a party. That is hope, like fun stuff in
Yes.
the future, but like hope for like after busy season, we're going to do a keep, stop, start and figure out what we can improve from this busy season to
Right.
make it better
Yes.
next time. We're going to find some automation. We're going to look hardcore into AI with all this chat GPT and stuff. We're going to figure out how to make your jobs easier. You're going to have a voice in it, so hope, give them hope. So that's step 3. Make sure there's some fun, and you can have short-term fun. Got however many weeks left that you have, 3 weeks or whatever if you're a tax filer, but we know that's not even true with all the extended deadlines due to natural disasters and such. And just all there's no really total clear end here for all of us, but whatever that next finish line is, on the way there, you could have daily fun. You could have
Right.
math Mondays. You could have who got the best score on Wordle on Tuesday. You could, somebody could dream up some little silly things, some fun contests. We see firms at this time, sometimes they'll share video of like a plank contest, and they all go, they all go on video or in their doorways or whatever, depending on where they're working from. And everybody gets in a plank and somebody calls it go. And then whoever's standing last in the plank wins, and how long would that take? Well, probably not more than 4 minutes and more than likely less than 2. So, it's that's not an all day gig and it doesn't take a lot of planning. So, every single day we could have a little bit of fun. And I made Tamera laugh just now, and you have to, like that's my favorite thing in the world to do is make somebody else laugh. And so like HR, think about how you can make these guys laugh. Nothing releases endorphins and makes you feel more hopeful or better than having a laugh. And having a laugh with coworkers makes you like them better.
Right. And not
So
be so grouchy and cranky and why am I doing this?
yes. And if we can't get the worst of the grouches to laugh, they are suspicious for not needing to find something else to do with their springs than this. So anyway, I love all of that, and above all, HR and talent professionals, you own like calling this out. You own presencing these ideas and
Right.
presencing these distinctions or these insights for your leaders because they're so buried, they're not paying attention to it. And you're going to be one of the victims of that in post busy season quitting, because we just lost sight of it. We got so buried in the work and circumstances, we forgot our really core purpose, which is making a wonderful career place for people. That's what we're supposed to be
Right.
doing, is growing some wonderful place where people can build their careers and achieve their hopes and dreams for their careers. And yes, serve clients too, but we lose sight of that.
Yes. And I love the summary, Jen, and I'm just going to say it again here as we wrap up, this idea of, gratitude and this idea of who are we being and not being grouchy, and the idea of, vision and what can we look forward to, and then find some places to laugh over the next few weeks. So some kind of centering message or centering, huddle, record it, send it out, write a summary email. People, like different forms of communication. It does not have to be that long, but if you could bring them together, you could make them laugh. You could practice and get them seeing the benefit as well. So hopefully this is helpful. If you have other ideas or things that you're doing during these next few weeks to really pay attention to your people and tether them and give them hope and give them strength during these next few weeks, we'd love to hear about that too. So in the meantime, have a great week, and we will see you in April. So have a good one. Thanks so much.